Well, would you look at the time? The start of a new year right after Christmas is the perfect time to talk about spooky shit. Me? A couple months late? Nonsense. I'll have you know that I am always punctual. The only reason I found GTFO is because some of my friends from a server I'm in started playing it. I had no clue what it was, I just had friends describe it as a difficult horror first-person shooter, and boy, oh boy, did that not prepare me at all for what I played. Open that shit. All right, let's go, gamers.
Everybody pick a spiker. Whack.
There's a shit ton downstairs.
Hey guys, you wanna take a peek at this guy?
Oh my fucking god! He's dead! What the fuck?
What's wrong with this picture?
Oh my god, fuck us, bro. Technically, they weren't incorrect, but I feel like describing GTFO as just that is not doing the game justice. First of all, GTFO is a game that only just entered alpha, so this game is balls deep in early access. Coincidentally, GTFO is the only thing that's balls deep that I'm okay with because this game is fucking beautiful. It's a game made in Unity, and side note, but I don't get why people bash the Unity engine just because there are a lot of bad games made with it. That would be like bashing a drawing like this because of a drawing like this. Unity is a tool, it's a medium for making art, and GTFO is a work of art, bitch. Square up, bro, this game is fucking amazing. Okay, so, it's fucking beautiful, I must say. The textures are great, and while recording at 2K, I got a solid 70 to 80 FPS on like my 3-year-old graphics card, so honestly, it's decently optimized. I could get more frames if I lowered the resolution, and actually bought a good GPU. But I like my high res with alright FPS. I'm fine with it because the game looks really fucking good. Light has dynamic shadows and reflections. There are also really good fog effects, specifically when you use the fog repellent. It just looks super cool. Honestly, on a technical level, the whole game is surprisingly good for $35 or however much I paid for it. In the multiple hours I've played it, we've only encountered a few bugs, with only one being partially game-breaking. My friend was being stupid and jumping on shit and squeezing into corners and he got stuck. Eventually the enemies knocked him out, but it was a bit too late because we were all down. After playing for 20 hours, that is the only bug that I can really remember like fully affecting gameplay. I think one time we spawned in a match and one of my teammates just couldn't see my model at all, but that was a quick fix. We just reloaded the match and we were fine. Sometimes there are weird ragdoll effects and body models just, clip through the floor, but it's not really anything that I would say makes the game worse off. I didn't crash a single time. My frames never dropped. Except for when we were like loading, which obviously makes sense. I guess there are really only so many ways I can say that this game is super polished for something in fucking alpha. Alpha! I can't get over that. Okay, Sam, we get it. The game is pretty and it's a horror shooter. What the fuck else, right? What actually is the game? Well, lovely viewer, I'm about to answer all of your questions. GTFO is a tactical horror shooter that focuses on teamwork and stealth. As of right now, there are 6 missions to complete. A1, B1 and 2, C1 and 2, and D1. To unlock the B missions, you must do mission A. To unlock the C missions, you must do the B missions, etc, etc. You take the role of some prisoner being sent to do dirty work suicide missions in an underground facility that has been overrun by these zombie-like creatures. The plot isn't super important, but that's what makes it more interesting to me. We know very little about why these things are here, similar to the prisoners who are being sent to do these insane missions. The missions themselves are a variety of things. Go and collect tags from dead employees, get a DNA sample from a subject that was left behind, wait for a generator to restart while fighting off hordes of enemies. It's just a bunch of variations in this insanely immersive experience that the devs have crafted. You land with minimal supplies and must hunt around for gear as you progress in these missions. The gear spawns are super low volume. You use like one use of a 3-use ammo kit only gives you like 15 to 20% ammo, meaning that you must ration out the supplies you find with your buddies. And you must have buddies. This game is impossible alone or with one other person, and improbable with 2 other people. Playing it in a squad of 4 is the only true viable way to play, and anything less is basically impossible. The game doesn't have any sort of matchmaking system either. They just give you a link to the Discord in-game and you need to find people to play with in there. And honestly, it makes sense. You can't play this game without communication, so having silent lobbies in this would just totally lead to your death. Okay, so far you know the game looks good, you need to complete missions, and it needs to be played with other people. What does the gameplay actually entail? Before you load into a mission, you must pick your loadout, where you choose a main weapon, a specialty side weapon, a gadget, and a melee weapon. All of the weapons are varied, useful, and pretty viable for multiple reasons, except for the melee weapons. Those are just skins. They all do the same amount of damage. It's totally fine with me, honestly. I don't really care. Gadgets, on the other hand, are slightly imbalanced, but understandably so. The turrets just offer so much more firepower that we often run 3 to 4. The bio tracker is super useful for finding and tagging enemies, but good observational skills does that job, except for a few instances where the bio tracker is just very useful. The mine deployer and seafoam gun don't really have enough charges to justify how little weapons actually do, and I don't even remember if there are any other gadgets, so that just shows how useful they actually are. So for my loadout, I usually stick with the SMG for its insane amount of ammo, the machine gun for its stopping power, and a turret. Shotgun and burst are both pretty viable. At least one person in the team should have a sniper too, but that's only because the sniper is used to kill basically 1 or 2 types of enemies that aren't the most common, so having large amounts of rapid fire weapons is the best in my opinion. But I also have a friend who swears by the mines, and online I've seen lots of people having huge varieties in loadouts, so it seems like there are a lot of viable options. So play how you want, but I recommend 3 turrets and a bio tracker, or just 4 fucking turrets, bro. This shit fucking slaps. Also, I'm so sorry. I'm so excited and high energy in this video that this is the most I've enjoyed and wanted to play a game in a very long time. Like, when I was at work, I spent like the whole day just thinking about coming home and playing this game with my friends. It's just so fucking good, you guys. Like, it's just, oh my god, okay, so this video is just one really big ramble. Let's get back into this. I've barely even talked about what the fuck the game is yet. There's just so many fucking things to talk about. They keep getting lost on the insane amounts of praise and jerking off I want to give this game. Okay, so you've got your loadout, you've got your 4 stack, and now you're ready to load right into your first mission, A1. What the fuck are you gonna be doing there? Well, before you start, you're put into this mini cutscene that masks the loading. You are standing in these little pods that drop you into the earth where you'll be doing your missions. A sort of underground facility. Did I say that already? I don't know. I don't remember. As you drop, you are treated to some already lovely examples of sound design. You get this little gasping right in your ear as the wind begins to rush past. Just we love to see it. Once everything loads in, you're released from your little pods, you're dumped into a room and told what your objective is. And off you go. Oh, and don't think, just because you just loaded into the game, that you are safe. A lot of the enemies spawns are based in RNG, so even on the first level, there's a chance that the room you spawn in will have enemies. Though that becomes considerably higher chance in the later levels. Once you are told your objective, you must blindly search the underground level for whatever you need, whether that's ID cards, DNA samples to shut down or turn on a reactor, etc, etc. But your job won't be easy. You will have a number of enemies and obstacles in your way. The most common ones you will find are sleepers. Even if you don't see them, you can tell when they're around because they make these weird clicking sounds. Once they start clicking and their chests light up, you cannot move because they become aware of your movements. So if you move too much when they're active, they will aggro and scream, alerting all the enemies in the room. The only thing you can do is sneak around when they aren't angry and kill them by giving them a mighty whack. You just gotta fucking smack them. You gotta whack those motherfuckers, you gotta whack. But it isn't easy as that, boys, girls, and everyone in between, because if you hit a sleeper and another sleeper is too close, that sleeper will aggro, thus alerting the whole room. That means that you need to coordinate with your teammates and try to kill the ones in close proximity to each other at the same time. Because the game is entirely RNG based, sometimes that just isn't possible. Even with 4 people, sometimes there are 5 close together or 6, so you need to be prepared. I like the turrets because if you fuck up, you just back up, pop those suckers down, and let them decimate enemies in a close range. Wait, Sam, you say, turrets are so powerful, why don't you bother sneaking around then? You can just blast through everything. No, you can't. You silly, silly bitch. You have less supplies than a child in a public school. You start the match at about 50% of your supplies, and every engagement will dwindle that shit so fucking fast. Occasionally you'll find refill packs, but in most missions those are sparse and barely recover anything. Health is knocked off quickly and brutally. And that's only when dealing with sleepers, never mind the other types of enemies in the game. There are also tanks, which are basically just massive sleepers. And although sleepers only really have ranged attacks, tanks have long, mid, and close range attacks that do insane amounts of damage. Seriously, one double swipe from a tank can knock off more than 60 health. I found out that the most efficient way to take them out is to try and kill everything in the room first, so taking out all the regular sleepers and shit. This also only really works if you've only got 1 tank in the room opposed to a couple of them, but you can just try the strategy if there's more than 1. Just do your best. Once the room is cleared as possible, you and all 3 of your teammates will surround the tank and I'll hit him once with a fully charged attack. This will sometimes kill it if you hit it in the middle, but sometimes it doesn't kill it, so you need to be prepared to step back or smack it again. That's why it's usually better to kill everything in the room, because sometimes you can kill it and it won't aggro anything, but sometimes you don't kill it and it'll accidentally aggro everything, so it kind of sucks. If you stay too close to it, and it could do like a full 360 swing and absolutely decimate your team if you guys are all low health. And like I said, this only really works if there's only 1 tank there. And sometimes you come across a room like this, a room with 5 4, 6 tanks. If the room isn't necessarily one that you need to clear, the better choice might be to just sneak in, get what you need, and sneak the fuck out. Sam, you interrupt very rudely again. If sneaking is so much easier and safer, why not just sneak around everywhere? Well, you dumb bitch, let me tell you, this strategy is actually really, really bad. A lot of the missions in this game involve backtracking, so if you need to very quickly sprint back through a room and it's full of enemies, you're totally gonna fuck yourself over. And as you enter new rooms, you must sometimes open up doors, and some doors require you to unlock them, whether that's by finding keys or just going through the unlock sequences. What is an unlock sequence? Well, sometimes when you need to open security doors, you need to stand in these little circles in order to unlock it. Sometimes it's just a regular circle that your whole team needs to stand in for a couple seconds. Sometimes you need to unlock an alarm door. When you activate an alarm door, a super loud alarm is sounded and a horde attacks you. The horde can be full of different types of enemies, but for the most part it's usually just regular little grunts that can only do mid to close range attacks. Sometimes it's tanks, sometimes it's spikers in the later levels, and they will continue to attack you until you complete the security door. But alarm doors, are different. You need to follow these little lines and stand in the smaller dots, and they can be anywhere from 4 to 16 of them. And if you don't complete the door before the wave ends, you will get hit with another wave of enemies, thus burning through more of your dwindling supplies. So you've gotten through a door, you've fought off some enemies, what's next? What else could this game possibly throw you to fuck up your day? Well, let me introduce you to my friend, the Scout. This game works a certain way. If you walk into a room full of sleepers and piss them off, only those sleepers will get mad at you. You can deal with them, whether it's 5 or 15. Once you clear them out, you can walk to the next room without wasting too many supplies. But then there's the fucking Scout. The Scout walks around, and every couple of seconds he sends out a shit ton of tentacles that go out several feet. If you get touched by any of these tentacles, that alerts the entire room, and the Scout screams, alerting a horde. There is nothing in the world that is scarier than walking into a room and not realizing one of these fuckers is skipping towards you. And you can't just run away from it, because there are almost always sleepers in the room with you, so if you start running around, that will alert the sleepers. Once that alerts the sleepers, it'll also alert the Scout, and it will still call a horde. Your options to deal with the Scout are difficult to choose from, and this is where the sniper comes in. Someone with a sniper rifle can hang back and shoot the Scout from a distance. If they hit the head, the Scout will die, but it will alert all the enemies in the room because you shot a gun, it's very loud. But that is better than needing to fight off a horde. Or you could do what we usually do, which is, sneak around, take out as many sleepers as you can, and then shoot the Scout. This is more risky, but we are risking possibly alerting a horde in exchange for trying not to waste more supplies. And that choice is similar to many of the choices you find in this game. Making those choices is exactly what makes this game so fucking good. On a surface level, sure. This game is about horror and monsters and shooting and fighting off hordes of enemies, but at its core, it's a tactical game about choices. Do you take out the big guy first and fight off the smaller ones after, or do we try to pick off as many small ones as we can and hope we don't accidentally alert the big guy? Do we push forwards towards our objective, or do we take detours and hope of finding more supplies? Because if we fail and alert enemies in those rooms, then we might just end up with less supplies than what we started. Do we split up to try and clear the room faster, or do we stick together to make sure we can take out groups all at once? Everything's a choice you need to make, a choice that could doom a run. And these missions aren't short. Some of the longer ones could take more than an hour to complete, so the longer you play, the more stressful it is to have to make these decisions. And I cannot describe to you how amazing it is that this game stresses me the fuck out. Seriously, this is one of the few times that I'll admit that I am happy that I'm stressed. Wanna know why? Because that means the game devs succeeded. Seriously, I spent 75% of my time playing this game stressed out of my fucking mind, my skin prickling, the hair on the back of my neck standing up, so fucking scared that I'm going to fuck up and end up screwing my team over. And every single fucking aspect of this game leads me to feel this way. It's not just the difficulty of the game, it's not just the choices you make. The visuals help so fucking much. The game is genuinely so fucking dark that it's wild. And they throw in this fog that's thicker than whole milk, and you can't see anything. It's ridiculous. You literally can't see it. You turn your flashlight on, you still can't see anything. It's horrifying. And you get flashlights, but if you shine them on a sleeper, the sleeper will wake up. So sometimes you're just forced to stumble around in the dark, in the milky darkness of the fog, and just hope you don't accidentally run into a sleeper, because if you do, that'll alert the whole ass room. You are left to rely on your sound to lead you around, which is perfectly designed to scare the living fuck out of you. The sleepers have a specific sound, they sound like clickers from The Last of Us, and it is very distinct. And then there's the fucking tanks, who have their own sound, it's like a much deeper growl noise, and then there's the fucking Scout, who has his own special sound.
Executed with impunity.
Thank you, Nathan.
That's just this, because when all the tentacles go out, and it's just so fucking horrifying. You have no idea what it's like to be sitting in a room and just, you can't see anything because it's super fucking dark, so you hear that noise and you're just is it in the same room as me? Is it in the room next to us? Am I about to fucking die? It's awful. It's the worst. It's horrifying. And that's the thing, right? This game is hard. It's horrifying, and there are other games that are also hard and horrifying, but why do you play those? You play a hard game like Dark Souls because it's fun, the challenge is good, and you are rewarded. You play a scary game like Resident Evil because the story is interesting and so is the gameplay. Sometimes. But in GTFO, there isn't that much of a story and there aren't any rewards. Like, if you complete a level and you get access to the next one, that's it. There's no character progression, there's no loot to grind for, no nothing other than the satisfaction of completing something rather difficult. And the thing is, I cannot stand difficult games. Yes, I'm a fake gamer. I don't like Dark Souls, I don't like fighting games, I don't like most games with intense learning curves and little to no tangible rewards. And yet, your bitch has become the biggest GTFO stan in the world because the game is just legit that good. I literally cannot, like, it scares the shit out of me, and I want to play it, like, every single fucking day. I'm not exaggerating when I say this is the best horror game I've played, and the game is still in fucking alpha. So, you heard it here, folks. Go buy GTFO. It's 100% worth the $30 it was on sale. Fuck it, it's worth $60, bro. I paid $60 for that shit. There aren't any serious problems I have with this game, like, genuinely. I mean, the biggest criticism I could give it would be the fact that the guns feel kind of floaty. The SMG, assault rifle, and shotguns don't have much, like, punch, and it can be kind of hard to tell whether or not you're actually doing damage to the enemies. Like, sometimes it takes multiple shots to the head with these guns to actually kill them. And it can be kind of frustrating, but that's it. That's all I got, y'all. Everything else is perfect. This game is like a 9 out of 10. It's an early alpha. Like, I'm so excited for any extra news or content for this game, and this is the first time in a long time that my depressed ass can say that shit. Me? Being excited for things? I haven't felt joy in 20 years of my life, and GTFO gave me that. You heard it here. GTFO cured my depression. Go buy it. Thanks.